Today, we're diving into an unbelievable story of payback and fireworks, as one person crafts a cunning plan to outsmart their nosy neighbors. Don't miss the explosive twists and turns in this abandoned house adventure that proves sometimes revenge is a dish best served with a bang. Mods, if this edges too far towards illegal, I'll understand if you remove it, but I think this sub is the perfect place for this tale. About 15 years ago, I had a buddy with whom I liked to go exploring. Abandoned buildings, woods, bridges, construction sites, you name it. We didn't go damage or steal stuff, just looked around. In my neighborhood, there was a long, front-to-back, narrow, facing the street property, sloping steadily upward from the street. A new buyer uprooted 5 or 6 1960s Ramblers from their foundations, moved them in and stood them on stilts, sort of, expecting to build foundations beneath. Some vandals wrecked the lower ones, they were hauled away, and the one at the far top back was left. The property was sold. The houses had been placed on big wooden platforms, held up by several cross-hatched stacks of railroad ties. We had our eyes on exploring the houses, decided to leave the place alone for a while after the vandals hit, then snuck in to check out the one remaining house. The wooden deck stuck out from under it, only on the back and the left side. At the back left corner, it was about 5 feet off the ground. The stairwell in the middle opened to an 8-foot drop. Open the front door, and it was more like 10 feet. Nice old 1960s home. Not much of note, but nice to go through. Especially considering the weird way it was stood. There were no trespassing signs. We obeyed those. Where I live, if you're caught in some such place and there are no signs, all the police can really do is ask you to leave. Next door, out by the street, was a tiny house that always had TVs flickering in all the windows, day or night. A few months go by, and my friend found himself homeless. I had nowhere for him to crash, but I stored his stuff for him. He decided he'd quietly move into that abandoned house. Arrive late, leave early, stay quiet, and he assumed it'd be fine. He borrowed some old camping gear I had, took the closet doors off their tracks and used them to cover the windows, removed the glass bowl from the ceiling light and hung the camp lantern from it on a bungee cord. And thus, all was well for a month or two, until someone, had to be the little house next door, neighbors behind couldn't see, and neighbor on other side was never home, spotted him and called the police. They arrived, asked him to vacate, helped him move his stuff down to the ground, and said he could return the next night to get it. When we came back, we found most of his stuff gone, and what wasn't gone had been smashed to pieces. The grass up there was very tall and very lush, so you'd really have to know something was there. We could faintly see what looked like a path blazed up to the area from the little house. He was livid. The police had every right to trespass him, but this was a dick move by the nearby neighbors. We decided to have some fun, and dug into my stash of fireworks. I'm still surprised that everything worked exactly as we'd intended, but it did go off without a hitch. One firework didn't go off, but that's not much. We snuck in from the rear, through another yard, set everything up, left the same way, went around the block, hid across the street, and waited. First to go were some Piccolo Petes, a shrill whistle followed by a bang. Lights went on in the little house. Next, a string of firecrackers. Then, some mortar shells, no firing tube, so they just leapt about 8 feet off the deck and exploded. The grass was green at that time of year, no fire danger. 3 people came out of the little house, just in time to see the mortar shells. Of course, one's first thought isn't elaborate time delay firing. When they saw a window on the left side glowing, we were pretty sure they believed the squatter was back and shooting fireworks. They got flashlights and trudged up the hill. We had placed cigarettes on the fuses, cut to various lengths. They kept burning until they reached the fuses. We'd come up with this on the former 4th of July to throw together a short show. We watched them haul themselves onto the deck at back left, saw their lights appear in the picture window at far right as they entered the dining room behind, and watched the lights appear in the front bedrooms. The window on the side, a frosted one, was a bathroom. Between the toilet, just beneath the window, and the bathtub was a little wall with a towel rail, onto which we'd glued a row of candles. The glow went out, and they left the house, surely knowing that they'd just wasted time and effort going after a guy who'd arranged a bunch of stuff in order to make them do exactly that. It wasn't long after that the final blow fell. On a fence post along the back of the property, I'd placed a big, single-shot white chrysanthemum mortar with a full cigarette on it. I'd hoped they wouldn't notice it as they went in or came back out. The firing tube was white, and they didn't. It went off just as they were regrouping and lit up the house and yard for a few moments, I'd guess as bright as daylight. We were pretty sure the message of, "You've been had," was crystal clear. A week or so later, we snuck in through the back and left a 2-foot roll of firecrackers on the deck with a full cigarette. For those who don't know, if you light a firecracker string that's been rolled, they set each other off, and the result is a solid blast of noise. We'd unrolled about a foot of it, so they got about 5 seconds of machine gun firecrackers, followed by a deafening shh. At their house, about 80 feet away, it must have been a real shocker. After that, we left the matter, and the abandoned house was razed a few months later. Thanks for tuning in to today's story. If you've ever had a wild adventure or a creative solution of your own, remember to share it in the comments below. And don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more tales like this one.